email and the
sure.
app.
Thank you. It's 654
Mm-hmm.
008 866. Continue.
Yep.
Okay, check in invite code now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, loading invitations. Okay, I see you. I'm all set to go on this side.
So you see the name, it might come under Christine
Yes.
Jones, but that's okay? Okay.
Do I click on you then? Do I click on that or
So
no?
that's all you have to do. And so then I'm going to go ahead and start calling. But before that, do you have the hearing aids in?
I do, yes. They're in and
great.
they're connected.
Okay. All right. So then what I'm going to suggest is, so let's first try and connect. So I will give you a call.
Okay.
And then once the call goes through, then we can turn off the cameras on the teams. And then we can talk through Phonak, the Phonak target.
Do you have my mobile number?
So this is actually going right through the My Phonak app, so I don't need your mobile number to make the call.
Awesome.
And so it's going through directly to the app. So I'm going to initiate the call.
Okay.
And then if you see a notification coming in on your phone, you can go ahead and click on it.
I do.
And
incoming.
Then you will see, it'll take you to the remote support screen, and then you hit start.
Okay, looking for your hearing care professional.
Yep, great. Okay, Vincent, so I'm going to connect the hearing aids to Phonak Target. So what you're seeing, if you have your Teams open, you're just seeing the hearing aids connect to the app.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're connected. I see that.
Mm-hmm. So this is just to ensure there is readability between the fitting software and the hearing aids. And what the fitting software really comes into play is we have all these great features within Paradise, but for the clients to truly get the benefit of these features, we must personalize it to the client's hearing needs and to the hearing loss. Mm-hmm. So this is where this fitting software really comes into play. So while we're waiting for this to finish connecting, I know you've been playing around with the hearing aids, listening, doing some streaming. What feedback do you have? What have you been experiencing? And you can tell me the pros as well as the cons.
I think it's more of a physical aspect of the buds. Every now and then I'll get blocked. It's like if I'm moving around a lot. So I've got a couple different fittings, like the different. I have the thicker one and I have the smaller one, and I have one of the kind of like the helicopter dome round. I think it comes down to the fitting, and for me, it's almost kind of like it comes loose or it's too tight, and it kind of pushes the bud out, and then I'll keep having to fidget with it. Other than that, and I was on the plane on Friday, and I was able to try them on with the thicker, thicker insert, and it works much better than the other ones I've had. But when I'm moving around a lot, it seems like it kind of blocks the receiver. So I've talked to John about that to get some other sizes in. Other than that, it works quite well. I'm curious how far back or which settings did you have that you actually loaded up as my profile?
So you probably might not hear me just yet, but the hearing aids might be muting when it's continuing to connect.
Okay. I thought I saw a notification said that it was connecting, but is it? So there it is. There they are. Okay.
Yeah, so now they're officially connected. On the app, it shows And this is a future improvement we like to do because it shows from your perspective.
Okay.
As soon as you start connecting, or as soon as I start connecting your hearing aid to the software, it shows from your perspective you're already connected. But for the hearing care professional, it takes a little bit longer to
Sure.
really pull in all that data
Okay.
from the hearing aids. So there's this mismatch in the status, and that's something we are aware of and want to improve this transparency aspect.
Okay.
So now you're officially connected.
Okay.
And how I can tell, if you can see my fitting screen, I have this little icon up here, and that just shows that I am now connected to you remotely.
Okay. That's crazy. That's awesome. So that's my profile, huh?
Yes.
So
what I'm looking at, and this is the first screen we jump into.
Okay.
And we jump into where I can see an overview of your hearing loss. So this is red is for your right, and blue is for your left. And then I can see what was programmed into your hearing aids in terms of the earpiece.
Okay, so that's the one thing I'm gonna ask you real quick is, let me grab them real quick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do they matter? Okay, so how it's programmed, does it matter if I'm using that one or if I'm using the smaller one? Because the one that came with it keeps sliding out of my ears. So that's why I found a smaller version that was sent a while back, so I'm using that now as a test. So does the sound output?
So how far back did you get those earpiece that you have on now?
I can't remember. Probably from.
Okay.
They are vented as well. They're also. I noticed there are two holes and they are vented, but they're a little bit smaller. Should I put these back on?
So the ones you're using are actually for our older platform.
Mm-hmm.
So those are previous domes.
Right.
Domes.
Right.
The newer ones have this rounder shape
Mm-hmm.
that you can see in your teens. So it is made specifically for this type of hearing aid, so we would recommend to use this type of dome.
I noticed the dome size is small. Is there one size a little bit smaller? Like I'm gonna put them on right now.
Yeah, so they come in various sizes, and so one of the benefits of being able to see someone in the clinic is to make sure we have the correct earpiece on.
Mm-hmm.
And that is for the purpose of comfort, and also when we start off with this pre-calculation of our fitting, the initial fitting of it, to make sure we have the correct size that is comfortable and the correct venting. Because this will set up the stage for the sound quality for the client.
That's what I was thinking. I kind of knew that was going to be the case. They start off fitting well in the ear. So as you can see, the placement of the hearing aids in relation to how they fit in my ear is perfect. But then when I start moving around and getting active, they tend to slide around in it. It's kind of like pressure, so it kind of pushes out as I move around. So I'm not sure if it's because it's too big and it's doing that.
Yeah, so what we want it to be, we want it to feel snug, but not too tight. And we don't want it to be loose where it's moving around.
Right.
And then we also offer different types of domes. So there's more open or even more closed. And we can even do more custom. So the domes because the domes are universal ear tip. So some people may find more comfort from a customized earpiece.
I have a customized one as well too.
Yeah. And so they may find comfort, and we can adjust how big the venting can be, so they're not feeling like they're speaking in a tunnel.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the issue I had with the last platform with the custom, was that it felt very enclosed.
Yeah. So it's really making sure we have that conversation with the client, since we offer different options and broad portfolio of earpieces or custom hearing aids, is really making sure it fits the needs and the comfort of that client. So this is where we have the starting point and making sure this information is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step I would do is, so this information matches what you are wearing in the ear.
Okay.
So then I would continue and go into my fitting. So right now I'm on Audiogram Direct, and what this feature allows is to perform a hearing test
Okay.
while you're wearing the hearing aids. And it's just ideal to check your hearing thresholds with the hearing aids on. So when you go into a clinic, you have a full diagnostic battery, and with the headphones or the insert earphones. Now what this is doing is just taking that information that you have the full diagnostic test battery, but now you have the hearing aids, so it's a baseline for the hearing aid fitting. And then now you have the hearing aids, so we can check the whole system with the earpiece on and with the acoustic coupling, the venting, the insertion, the depth. So it was taking all that information to just cross-check those thresholds. So it's just personalizing the fitting to the client.
Oh, perfect. So it's going to be even more accurate than what the profile I have on there now. Or...
So it's a different goal. So
okay.
The diagnostic test battery is looking at the whole hearing system. It's taking a look at different parts of the hearing pathway to determine where in the hearing pathway are you having issues with the hearing, to determine which part is looking at your speech understanding. So it's a fuller picture.
Okay.
And then this is just taking part of that picture, and now you have the hearing aids. How does the whole system fit? And then cross-checking those thresholds.
Got it.
And so what is new about this feature for remote support is to double check those thresholds, or to have an initial remote fitting while someone is at home and not able to come into the clinic.
Okay.
So we're not delaying that process for their hearing care. And so that is been very cool for us to allow this during this COVID times. Because we've had this Audiogram Direct feature for more than a decade. So it's not new to Phonak, it's just now making it flexible to offer it remotely. We just don't recommend it to be used as a diagnostics tool because it just has a different purpose.
Got it.
So I'm just going to message, I know nobody can hear what we're saying because we're having a feedback issue. So I'm just going to make sure they understand that's why they have no audio. So we're having a private conversation. So I know you pressed for time. So what?
No worries. I think the girls are settled down. So let's go through it, so that way we can get the full understanding of the process. So take your time.
What I'd like to do before we get into this is, are you situated in a quiet room?
I am. I'm in my quiet office, yes.
Okay. All right.
Other than the hissing, other than the sound coming from the phone.
Okay, that's okay. The reason why I asked is with Audiogram Direct, since we're measuring thresholds, we just want to make sure the room is quiet for you. So that way, when you're listening, you're listening to the beeps, and then that way. How do
I let you know which side I'm hearing?
So you're gonna look at the phone, and I'll give you instructions.
Okay.
And actually, with this part, to avoid cheating, if you try not to look at your computer where your Teams is.
Okay. All right, computer's down.
The reason for that is because since I'm doing a hearing test, it would be good that you don't see where I'm presenting. So you can make sure the results are appropriate.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, no cheating.
When I start yes, and I assume your hearing aids are nice and inserted.
Okay.
Okay. And what I would typically do is I would ask for you to try to come to the phone so I could see the insertion. Myself, to make sure that they look like they're deeply inserted.
So that's the left side. Are you able
Yeah.
to see it?
Yeah.
And then
Yes,
this
that looks
is
pretty good.
the right side.
Yes, that's great.
Okay.
I can see the receivers are nice and flush against the ears, so okay. What's going to happen now is the hearing aids might be muted when I start the test.
Okay.
And that is because you're going to be hearing me presenting the beeps. Every time you hear a beep, I want you to raise your hand.
Okay.
Right? Alright, so now we're going to continue. Can you hear me okay, Vincent?
I can, yes.
Okay. So I just finished the right side.
Okay.
I'm going to now switch over to the left. Okay?
Okay. Have you started?
Okay, so we'll now begin.
Okay.
Okay, we just finished. So
Okay.
now I'm going to save the results and then we'll proceed.
I think the only feedback that I can give to that process is the sound. If there's a way for the team to mute completely your side, because I was also contending with the rustling and the sound and the clicking on your end. So if they can, during the test, if they can somehow just completely mute during the test, because there's the rustling and I think the static from the speaker coming out as well. So I was fighting between that and trying to hear it, and it would cut in and out the sound. So it's a little bit distracting.
Okay. No, that's very good feedback. And because you have very normal, low frequency hearing, which makes sense why you're hearing this background noise. But yes, we can certainly, and I'll bring this back to the developers, that there might be confusing for some with this visible background noise that they're perceiving.
Yeah, I think all they would need to do is just completely mute like the app on your side, and then that way all I'm hearing is coming from it would be kind of like in the sound booth when I'm there at the office, right? Because when I'm getting the hearing check in a sound booth, I'm not hearing any external noise, whereas here the room is relatively quiet except for a little bit of the air vent. I'm contending with the sound coming from the phone, which I'm sure they can easily just mute the whole thing.
Yeah, because you're hearing my keyboard through the phone, and because you have normal low frequency hearing, you're picking that up.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save the measurements.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm curious to see how how the Audiogram Direct lines up with my previous hearing check. It's very interesting to. That for me is gonna be really cool to see how close.
And we'll be able to see that in just a moment. Okay, so what you're seeing here is the gray is your hearing test, I'm assuming a diagnostic audiogram that you had.
Yes.
And then the red one is what I just did.
Interesting.
Huh. So what you can see is pretty close. And in general, we allow for
Some
a 5 to 10 dB variation.
Okay.
Just because it depends on your mood that day, how tired you are, focused.
How much sleep I got the night before.
It's expected. Yes, so it's expected for this variation, but it's nothing that stood to me as alarming. Because if I start to see a greater difference, then I would strongly recommend to come in for a full diagnostic battery. Okay,
but in this case, is this enough to say, all right, I think we can go ahead and reprogram it to this for you to use until you can get in to see an audiologist? Okay.
Yeah, so this is a pretty good starting point, and I'm able to compare to a previous audiogram, so I know, okay, there's been no changes over time.
Okay.
So then the next thing I would do is, so then I would talk to you about how you've been doing in your listening situation. So I did the earpiece. And the earpiece would be generally better addressed in clinic to make sure the fit is appropriate, or we would discuss a custom earpiece.
Okay.
But when you're in your daily listening environment, how are you doing when you're communicating in quiet, when communicating in noise? How has that experience been for you?
It's been really good. I'm very shocked that I'm able to hear my own voice, which is great. There aren't any major feedbacks. There are at times where the microphone feels really sensitive, so I can hear some higher pitch. Does that? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like it's a higher pitch frequency that's buzzing in and out. It doesn't happen all the time, but every now and then when I put them in, I hear that high pitch.
Okay, and what does this sound like to you when you hear this high pitch? Like a feedback almost?
Yes, kind of like a feedback almost. And then I would try to lower the volume as much as possible. Wait, are they disconnected now, or do you have control of them? Is that why I can't? Okay, that's why. Okay, I was like, wait a minute. Okay, so you have the control. Okay, so yeah, so I would then just lower the volume a little bit, and they're fine. But it doesn't happen all the time. It's just maybe once or twice a day.
Okay, so I just moved to the screen here, and for feedback like this, we have this feedback management system.
Mm-hmm.
So I have an idea of what could be causing this.
Oh, very
And
cool.
typically, what is ideal when you're having a hearing aid fitting is you have a feedback test.
Mm-hmm.
And the feedback test is just to really configure the hearing aid appropriately so you're not getting these artifacts.
Are you able to do that remotely? Are you able to check or test or set that up remotely, the feedback test?
So I can't actually perform the actual measurement because it has to be done in the clinic.
Got it.
However, I have the ability to do a temporary measurement. So it's just what we have over tuning
Okay.
that you can see on the computer. So this is new for Paradise.
Okay, nice.
So this is ideal for a situation where you're not able to get into the clinic. We can still manage the feedback until we can get you into the clinic and check to make sure the fit is okay, to check to make sure the whole picture, but in the meantime, we're able to control this remotely. This is also ideal for maybe people who just cannot tolerate it because you do hear some high-pitched sounds, or if you have a child who is not able to sit still for it. So these are ways that you can get around it.
Got it.
To manage it. There's also a case where it might be we have clients who just love a more open fit. And maybe it's not appropriate based on their hearing loss, but then we can see what the compromise is with managing the feedback, and making sure they're getting the amplification they need, and working with the earpiece that they're most comfortable with.
I think the feedback isn't bad. Like I said, it happens maybe once, and sometimes I'm almost wondering if it's because I was streaming via the TV connector, and then it's not. It doesn't happen normally. It's usually after a certain scenario, I think.
Okay. And so that's where we can make that adjustment here, and I can also make it in another screen. So we have two different types of feedback. We have one that people might get all the time. So we have this threshold to really make a limit, and then we have another one that helps to cancel out anything that's transient.
Okay.
So like putting a hand close to your ear.
Yeah, see, if I put my hand up to my ear, I can hear it. If I put both, if I do it with the right, I can hear it. If I do it with the left, I can hear it. And if I do it both, I can hear the feedback.
It is normal if you're like really pushing up against it. That's normal. But
Okay.
if you're trying to give someone a hug and you hear it, or you're walking close to a wall.
What about my hair? It sometimes when it rustles against the microphone, the microphones, I can hear it a little bit.
Okay.
Is that normal as well?
A little bit stronger. Yeah, so I can make it just a little bit stronger, and it doesn't affect the gain.
Okay, that would be great. As long as the gain is good. What's the occlusion compensation? I've heard that used for me before, where it allows more openness. Is that right? Okay.
Yes. So for this case, I would not apply it because of the earpiece you have.
Okay. Oh, because there are already two vents that are designed into the earpieces.
Exactly. And you mentioned before that you had more of a custom earpiece. Did you have the Virtual? Do you remember if you had the Virtual before? Or
Yes.
A custom hearing aid?
Yeah. Yep. They custom hearing aids and custom earpiece with the receiver. and they always felt like I was closed up, and so that's why they weren't ideal with the Verto.
Okay. So in this case, this is where we can also use that to help compensate for this feeling plugged up, but trying to relieve some of that. But in this case, I would not apply that because you have a dome fitting. Yeah.
Perfect.
Here, this is where we also choose, we have different prescription algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the newest for the Paradise launch. So we have the APD 2.0.
Okay.
So that is what you're listening to right now. Then I'm going to jump into the fine tuning. So this is really where all the magic happens.
Yes.
With the hearing aids. And so here we manage the gain, how much amplification you have. And we also have the MPO, so that's just your ceiling, where you can tolerate the loudest possible sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So then anything that goes above it, it gets cut off since you don't want to be uncomfortable.
Okay.
And this is where we also have our AutoSense OS 4.0. So this is where you have automatic classifications within the hearing aid. So you're seeing all the different classifications the hearing aid has, and based on your environment, it will switch.
Wow.
So you're swaying between classifications.
Can you show me Can you show me what music looks like when you're streaming? Because I do that quite a bit.
So yeah. So this music here, can you see where my arrow is?
Mm-hmm.
This is for acoustic music.
Oh, okay. It's for acoustic music.
Mm-hmm.
And
then here, these are for when you're streaming, whether you're streaming through the phone.
Are any of those settings, are you allowed to modify any of those settings? Or are they just are they automatic through AutoSense OS 4.0?
So I'll go right to this program. So how we differentiate, because we have a media program, and we have music. So AutoSense will automatically determine which is which based on the input of the stream signal. And then I'm going to switch back and forth between each program so you can see the distribution of the shape. It'll look a little different.
Ah, okay. So the frequency is based on my hearing profile. So basically everything I'm hearing through the streaming profiles is based on my hearing losses to compensate in each of those frequency, if you will. Just so I understand for the write-up.
Yeah, no, that's a great way. And if I go to the music, because music is more full, so we have more of an emphasis on the bass. So what you're looking at here is your low to high frequencies. So there's 125 hertz all the way up to 8,000. So it's giving more emphasis in those low frequencies.
Okay.
So that's just how it's showing how it's shaped, because for each of these programs, we don't want the same gain shaping for a different environment.
Can you show me what the car looks like? Is that possible?
Sure. So this is speech and card.
So which line? Oh wow, okay.
So we also have the different shapes and gain, but then we also have what differentiates it to make it a little bit more complex, but just to give you how much the hearing aids are working. So I'm going to go to this program options.
Okay.
And this is where we have the different, what we call sound cleaning features.
Okay.
So they will differ based on the program you're in, and they may have different strength as well. So we have the calm situation. So this is more for when you're quiet. And then we here have the specific feature, speech enhancer. So I'm going to move this. This was the feature I talked about for those transient feedback. So I just made it a little bit stronger.
Okay.
And so speech enhancer, this will kick in for quiet situations. situations to optimize the speech for that.
Right, we talked about that. That's really amazing. In a quiet room where your partner or whoever you're speaking to is speaking in a normal or lower voice. So that's really great to have.
And then we have the speech and noise. So here, this is where in the app you can adjust the speech focus slider for what we call in the HDP's world dynamic noise cancellation. So that's just to reduce the background noise from the rear and the back of the client.
And that's new for, is that new for Paradise, the speech and noise dynamic?
Yes.
That is new. Okay, is that something that once it's programmed, it's set, or am I allowed to change that in the app?
So you can change that in the app. So that's your speech focus slider in your app.
Okay.
And so you can adjust it. So when the app realizes that you are in speech and noise, or in the speech and noise program, you can adjust that speech focus slider, and it can adjust the noise reduction, and it works in combination with our hearing aid microphone to make the beamformer.
Oh, that's great. That's very good.
What's cool about this feature is how we're training the hearing care professionals is to have the end user, the clients, for you to adjust it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the default setting, but really the best benefit is for the clients to take the app and go to the environment and adjust it, because dynamic noise is going to change dramatically. If we take restaurants, for example, you can go to restaurants, the same restaurant, different times of the day,
Mm-hmm.
and the noise is going to be quite different.
Okay. So by default, it's set to weak by default.
Mm-hmm.
But once I change it within the app, the speech focus, does it default back to weak once I'm in a different environment?
So that's a great question. So you can adjust the feature in that moment, but then as soon as you go back to your auto sense,
Mm-hmm.
it will go back to this weak setting.
Okay.
So
Why
adjusting it.
Why is weak set as a default? Is there a reason for that?
So yes, the reason for that is to provide some noise reduction for you
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning. But we know as the environments, especially the more diffuse one, like a cafeteria or a restaurant, it can vary quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a fixed, like a stronger setting. If you go to one restaurant and you went on a Friday night, then you went to another restaurant on a Saturday night,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that setting will be completely different to you.
Okay.
Because the architecture of the building is different, the setup of where you're sitting at the table could be different.
Okay.
And so you may perceive certain artifacts because of that. So you want to make sure you are adjusting it to your comfort.
Okay.
And how you like the clarity to be.
Got it.
So it's really, there's more for the client to take control of.
Okay.
And here, so this is really where we have the different sound cleaning features. Is there anything else that caught your eye that you would like to see, or I can further explain?
I think I'm good. What about the mic when I'm doing not just the streaming, but I'm using phone calls? Can I see the profile for phone calls as well? Because I use these for phone calls quite a bit. If you can explain to me how that is set up, the profile.
Mm-hmm. So here we have this phone call plus mic. So I'm going to switch to this program.
Okay.
So we have a different shaping for this, and it's really dependent on the phone that you use. It has a more narrow bandwidth to work with. So this is how we set it up here. But we also have, if I jump into device options,
Mm-hmm.
and then under Bluetooth, we have this ability here where you can adjust your bandwidth.
Can you
So it's
explain? Can
depending
you
on,
explain to me what that means? The fixed bandwidth versus adaptive bandwidth.
yeah, so the bandwidth here has to do more with the device you're working with. So adaptive just means you have a more bandwidth frequencies to work with the mobile phones or any device essentially. And so here provides better sound quality. Fixed bandwidth is a bit limited. So from our feedback that we receive from customers is the fixed bandwidth tends to work better with Teams, for example.
Got it.
And then adaptive bandwidth is more for using a mobile or phone call.
Okay.
However, it's very phone dependent and very device dependent. We keep it on adaptive because generally it provides better sound quality.
Got it.
However, if you're running into a situation where the sound quality is a little funny, in the app, you can adjust it.
Okay.
In the My Phonak app.
Can we
So
go
you can
through?
play around.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. I was finished.
I was wondering if we could go through. So this is the standard. Can we look at the streaming and the phone call tabs for behavior?
Yeah.
Are there different?
So here we.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So here we have different functionalities. So we have the short press, the long press, and the double tap. And the streaming has to do with we have different accessories. So it could be the TV connector is one example. Just streaming music via your mobile phone is another example. And this is specifically for phone calls. So what to do if you get a phone call, how do you accept that phone call? So you could accept it on your push button, or you can accept it by a double tap.
Okay. And then towards the bottom. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's just really dependent on the client's preference, what they're comfortable with. So we have all these different options, but we can, if I go back to manual controls, I can uncheck, recheck, depending on what the client is comfortable with.
Mute and unmute mic. Is that an option for the buttons as well too?
So if I click on this one.
There are times where I just want to mute the mic and just kind of quiet everything instead of having to go into the app. So that's great for me to have as well too. So how does it know which function is which when I'm using the button?
So here, in terms of with the mute, if you do a long press on your hearing aid,
got it.
then it will.
Oh, okay, so that's the down. Okay. Does it matter which side I do that on?
No.
Perfect.
The hearing aids are synced, so they will be able to synchronize. And I can see there's a lot of functionalities here, and I don't expect you to remember. So what we do for clients is I have this report, and I'm happy to email it to you.
Oh, that would be great. But before you do that, can I look at one more thing? The signals and alerts. Can I look at that tab?
Yes.
Towards the bottom. Okay, so intensity, volume control. So connections, alert, frequency. So the intensity, is that just how loud everything is?
Yes, and I can demonstrate it for you.
Sure.
So if there's a particular volume, so this is how it is now. So let's do that first. So you heard that okay? And then if we went to loud, for example.
Okay, I see the difference. That's really amazing.
Did you have a preference for one over the other?
Are you granularly controlling each of those, or is it just the intensity is global for all those programs?
It's global.
Okay, then medium is good.
Okay. It's just more so if you get a notification, then you have an idea of what action to take.
Ashley, can you go down one to soft?
Sure.
That's actually better. Okay, last tab, the startup. I like to see what that does, and then I think we should be startup, no additional.
The startup is, if you're already aware, is when your hearing aids first turn on, you get this jingle.
Yep.
And here we can tailor it so some people don't want to hear the jingle. They know how it sounds to turn it on, so we can turn it off.
I actually like that. It just confirms that it's on.
You prefer that it's on?
Yeah, I prefer it just because sometimes I don't know if it's on or off, and to hear it is reassuring, I guess.
Exactly, and we can even, certain clients prefer longer, especially if they have dexterity issues.
Right.
So they need a little bit more time to get it on, so we can change it.
Just the level of details and thinking that has gone into the process. For me to be able to see this and to relay this to our readers is just fantastic. This is really good. Very granular.
Yeah. I would like to show you 2 more features.
Sure.
If that's okay for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So one is new for Paradise, and it's this connection alert. And I can just play it for you.
That's the reconnect, okay.
And then disconnect is.
Oh, that's great because it goes up for reconnect, down for disconnect. Makes absolute sense.
And the idea behind this feature is, so both hearing aids have to be turned on and they have to be blinked, so they recognize there's a pair. And then if at any point this breaks in connection, then that's when this alert goes on.
Okay.
So a common example would be a physical loss of the hearing aid. So for example, if you're just changing a shirt, it happens, the hearing aid gets caught in and then it comes off. And for older clients, they may not recognize that it fell off. And so then they start to walk away and then they get this alert, hey, my partner's missing.
How long does that alert go for, or does it constantly kind of chime in?
Just one time.
Time.
Yeah, because there is constant that could be quite annoying.
How far do they need to be apart before you get that alert?
So it's about 82 feet or 25 meters.
Okay. That's good to know because when you find out that it's missing, you can kind of backtrack to where you were.
Exactly. And just to avoid, if you call in, I lost my hearing aid, you want to make sure you try to search for it before that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You said there were 2 features.
The last feature.
Okay.
I'm sorry, did you have a question?
No, I just said the last feature you were going to show me.
Yeah. Tap control.
Yes.
So here, as you probably have seen already in the app, you can adjust the configuration as you would like to. Have you been trying
I have.
the voice assistant as well as the...
I have.
Okay.
The one feedback I would like to suggest to the team, if it's even possible, is kind of like how you do for example, Apple's trackpad, right? You can adjust the feedback on how hard you press or tap. I would love it if in the next version where you can kind of control how hard or how light you tap, because it varies, right? If you have a low, medium, and high tap, because sometimes if you tap too softly, it doesn't work. So if that's something that the team can do, that would be great to be able to allow you as the healthcare provider to adjust that in the fitting, like how hard I tap.
And that's great feedback. And I know we did a study on tap control and looking also at the sensitivity. And Sin might be able to answer what was the decision for not adding this.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I know that is something we did investigate.
Got it.
And then the last thing I want to show is this tap control training.
Yes.
So this is really the idea is for those who are very new to what tapping is. Yeah. So it's a way to coach. And then you saw a check mark, so you did a successful tap.
Ah, I see it. Let me try down
So just a
here.
nice visual display to coach, and that way the HCP also knows how the client is double tapping.
So where is the sweet spot? Is it in the middle of your ear? Is it dependent on where the hearing aids are placed?
So it's just anything that gives a vibration to the hearing aid. So there's really no specific recommendation.
Oh,
Whatever
okay.
you're comfortable with.
You
But I
could
can
turn
see
this into a
you're
game.
doing nicely. So you did very good.
Okay, very good. I've had a lot of practice the last few days.
I can see that. So that really covers most of it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you.
And you're very welcome. So I guess I'll go ahead and save everything. So I saved the changes, so I enabled the mute function. I can send you the report to you after we call.
Okay.
Email it to you so you have what the different buttons are doing for you, because I don't expect anyone to remember, especially as they're
There's a lot. Yep. There are a lot of functions for 4 buttons. So back to the dome. When I get another one, a different size, whether it's larger or smaller, do I need to go through this with the audiologist again to set this up? Does it affect the profile?
Since we didn't run a feedback test, it would not affect it.
Okay.
As long as the venting is the same. So if you still have the vented dome, just a different size, that's okay.
Okay.
And I adjusted your what we call whistle block. I adjusted that to a stronger setting, so that's okay.
Oh, that's great.
So you should be good to go.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. This was a great experience. This is awesome. I know it's been a long time coming to get this walkthrough, but I love it. This is really good.
Oh, I'm happy to help and target is my baby, so I'm like to be able to demonstrate what we can do.
Oh, well
So
done.
I'll go ahead and save everything.
Okay, perfect. Now, are you saving the Audiogram Direct? What is the profile I'm using now? Is it the Audiogram Direct, or is it what was loaded originally?
Audiogram Direct.
Okay.
But I can switch back. And I can always switch back.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
Now, are we connected moving forward? Can I message you and say, hey, I'm experiencing this or that? Or is that just for a proper normal patient?
So actually, so I'll go ahead and save, and then we can talk about hearing diary.
Sure.
Afterwards. Okay, so I'll go ahead and save this, and then that way we can let everybody else
Back
join
on.
in as well.
Wow, that was a really...
The hearing aids might mute during the save process.
Yep.
So they might turn on and off. That's good.
Awesome. And this is all happening straight through my iPhone. That's... wow. Crazy world we live in. Oh, I see finish on my side. By the way, I love this mute unmute mic button feature. I always, it's really funny, but I always wish there was a physical way for me to do that. Instead of fumbling through the phone, and I'm happy that you showed that to me and we're able to flip that on without me even asking for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we, I'll hang up
Okay.
here and then we move to Teams.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.